and welcome to the 901 Bets. Think of this as sports betting for dummies right here in Memphis. Now, before we get rolling, let's throw up that disclaimer. And folks, if gambling has become a problem for you, hit that Tennessee Gambling Hotline. That number right on your screen, 800-889-9789. All right, y'all. Let's break down today's bankroll basics. We're talking about a word you hear a lot if you follow betting, nap. And I must confess, I thought of this because of my good old buddy, Ryan Lee. His nickname is Nap, so this one's for you, pal. So what's a nap? A nap is basically a tipster's strongest bet of the day. Think of it as the one pick they feel the most confident about. You'll hear it a lot in horse racing, but it applies across the board. Now let's put it in Memphis terms. Imagine you're betting on the Tigers. If somebody tells you their nap today is Memphis covering the spread against Georgia State, what they're saying is out of every bet they could make, that's the one they're riding with the hardest. It's like when you go to Central Barbecue. Sure, you've got a lot of good options, but that pulled pork sandwich, come on now, that's the nap because it's the best bet on the menu. So remember, when you hear nap, think strongest play of the day, the one you put the most faith in, and in the 901, you always want to make sure your nap is as solid as a Tigers win at Liberty Stadium. All right, y'all, for this week's Bluff City lines, I'm rolling with Memphis to cover the 13.5 spread against Georgia State. Yeah, you see what I did there? Kind of segue. And I'm doubling down on the first half line at 7.5. Now, here's why. Memphis just rolled over Chattanooga 45-10, putting up over 400 yards with Brendan Lewis leading the way. And I think his star is just going to continue to keep shining. Georgia State just gave up 63 to Ole Miss, and they sit near the bottom in almost every defensive category. You see there, I like Georgia State. That's my hometown, but we got to keep it real. The Tigers are the more disciplined team, better on third down, and they're just sharper in the red zone. I see Memphis jumping out really early and covering both numbers. And over in Ole Miss, I'm rolling with them to cover the 9.5 spread against Kentucky, and I'm going to just go ahead and take the money line too. Now, as we've said, this game is about redemption. Remember, Kentucky upset the Rebels in Oxford last season. Ole Miss, they have not forgotten, and they're bringing the fire this time. Ole Miss looked unstoppable last week against Georgia State, over 600 yards, and as I said, 633 points on them. Kentucky struggled to move the ball against Toledo, and they'll have a hard time keeping up. Bottom line, Ole Miss has the firepower and the motivation to win big, but in the end, it's an SEC game, and like Steven said, 3 points have separated these teams in the last two outings. So to recap, Memphis to cover the 13.5 spread and 7.5 for the first half, and Ole Miss to cover the 9.5 spread and win. You could parlay that, or you just play it straight up. The choice is yours. Let's get ahead of the line, and the NFL is back this weekend, and I'm riding with the Washington Commanders to beat the New York Football Giants in Week 1. Washington went 2-0 against New York last season, and to be honest, New York hasn't really shown me anything to show they'll close the gap, especially against a team that played for the NFC Championship game last season. Now, I know we talk about sophomore slumps, but I don't see that with quarterback Jaden Daniels, at least not in Week 1. He's looking to build off a year which saw him win Rookie of the Year and even be in the MVP race at times. And he accounted for almost 4,500 yards of total offense. New York will bring it with Malik Neighbors and Russell Wilson at quarterback now, and that new QB wideout duo, it could be dangerous, and an improved defensive front adding Abdul Carter to the fold, but I just can't see Washington losing in front of their home fans in Week 1. All right, folks, let's get to our bets from Bill. This one comes from my pal Chris. He sent me Drake London to hit over 1,500 receiving yards this season. That's looking at plus 330 odds. Spicy, right? Well, last year he had a little under 1,300 yards, so he'd need to average about 94 yards per game. He's the Falcons' top target, and he's healthy. And with Darnell Mooney banged up in training camp in preseason, London could see even more looks. Now on the flip side, quarterback Michael Penix Jr., he spreads the ball out, throwing it to his tight end Kyle Pitts, other receivers like Ray McCloud, and even running back Bijan Robinson They all can get touches, and they will get touches. But the upside on this play is a huge payout if London stays consistent. The risk, though, defenses will key in on him, and any injury or game script change, that could limit him. So bottom line, it's a high-risk, high-reward play. I'd throw a little something on it, but not too much. Hey, that's just me, though. You can send me your bets 3 ways. You can @ me on X at RD2Sports. You can use the hashtag ABC24Floor, or you can send something to our text line, 901-321-7520. And just a reminder, folks, this content is for entertainment purposes only. ABC24 and its affiliates do not encourage gambling. Viewer discretion is advised. Any betting decisions you make are solely your responsibility. We are not responsible for any financial losses or wins resulting from information presented on this program. Time for a quick break. We're back after this.